Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm Heather Lou.
I am Monserratt.
And we are here to talk about darts. We are going to give you our top tips for sewing darts. And we're going to be doing that through the Dart PhD, Muncie. To confirm, you do actually have a PhD.
Sí.
Is it in darts?
No.
What's it in?
It's in neuroscience, neurophysics.
Neurophysics. I'm always like, she's an astrophysicist. She works for us. No, she's in neurophysics. And so one of our favorite things about Muncie is that she is like inherently an academic and a researcher. And when we give you a task, you're like, cool, I'm going to take my PhD approach. And she ended up last year writing like the most incredible series on fitting darts that I think exists on Earth. You're not going to admit that, but I would say that.
Maybe. Like, we read into a lot of books and did a lot of research and like experience. Like, it was very, very, very delicious to work through it.
And we decided to put all of that into a new bodice fitting downloadable ebook that you can download for free from our website. We'll put the link down below. And so to kind of like get you started as you're thinking about bodice fitting, we thought we would just focus on darts today because I think that's probably the thing people are most likely encountering when they're sewing. And even though it's like not the most complicated thing to sew, it can, I think people can run into trouble.
Yeah. We went through like the different phases of like, what is a dart, learning to work with them, and then taking them further.
So what would you say a dart is, if somebody doesn't know?
It's a way to give shape to a 2D piece of fabric.
Yeah, so a dart basically takes a 2D thing, and then by virtue of sewing it, it like transforms it into 3D.
Yeah.
And so it helps shape because we're not 2D objects. It's why actually men don't have a lot of darts in their clothes in general, and because they don't have the things that we have going on. I would say probably more often encounter them in women's clothes. Although with men, like I've seen them sometimes on men's, like the back of men's shirts.
Yeah.
Blazers, sometimes they'll have darts.
Like you can think even about shoulders as darts, right? Like you have the shoulder shaping. It's anywhere where you need shaping. You can have a dart or a seam.
Right. We're really enjoying there's a siren. It's hotter than Hades today. This is what we go through to provide you with this information. Talking about darts, sweat, sirens.
Yes.
Okay, so dart does that. We're gonna talk a little bit about sewing it, but I think if we were to give people like the first, maybe most important foundational tip for sewing darts, what's the first tip?
Find your bust apex.
Okay, so if you just heard that and you're like, I don't know what that means. Generally with bodices, I guess when we're talking about darts, kind of right now we're specifically talking about them in regard to bodice fitting. So if it wasn't, you generally want to point the dart towards
the higher volume,
the biggest area of volume.
Yeah.
Right. So if we're going to look at a bust dart, the biggest area of volume is here, obviously. You're welcome, and not like here, right?
Yeah.
Or here. Like this is where the most volume is. So why is it important that the dart point there?
Because you want the volume to be released where you need it, right? So in the dart, when you want to suppress volume, you take the legs and you put them together, and where you want to release the volume, you put the tip.
Right.
So you wear your garments, the undergarments that you're planning to wear with this pattern, and then you locate the position of your apex.
And so generally when we say apex, it's just like the fullest point. So in general, we could say like the nipple area, but it might vary a little bit on your body. Like basically, if I'm looking down right now, the apex, like the fullest expression of me is right here. So this is where I want my darts pointing. And I actually wore this jumpsuit. This is like an old paper cut patterns, paper cut patterns jumpsuit that I made years ago. And I pulled it out today. And the dart is actually pointing here. And so if I was to make this knowing what I know now or whatever, just my body's changed, that dart needs to get rotated and get pointed here because where it's expressing the volume, where it's expressing the width is right here. And it's about an inch and down where it should be.
Yeah.
I don't feel like it's that obvious in this particular garment, but just in general, that's where we're kind of aiming for.
Yeah, and I would say it's more obvious when your volumes are bigger. For example, let's say my butt, my seat, right? Like the the thinking, the thought process is the same. Where is the most volume? So there is where the tip of the dart should end.
Yeah.
Like an inch or an inch and a half above the fullest point.
Okay, so if you know, you can see on your body, okay, well, it's here. How do you then translate that onto your pattern?
Yeah. So the way that you do it for your bust, we have a full description of this in the blog post.
Yeah, like we'll link all of our blog posts, and we have a very in-depth PhD level blog post about this. So if you want to kind of get deeper into it, we're going to quickly explain it. But if you want more guidance, you can head to the blog.
Yeah. Yeah. So you basically measure the distance between the two apex points in your bust, and then you measure if this garment has a neck point, a shoulder point with a neck, then you measure from there to the apex, and you can also measure between the apex and the waist, the waist center front.
Yeah.
And then using those 2 or 3 measurements, you are able to figure out, okay, this is where my apex would be in this pattern.
Yes, and like all CCP patterns, we always mark where we've drafted the bust apex to be. So any pattern, almost every pattern, unless it's like a really old one, we'll have the bust apex marked. So you can kind of compare, you're gonna mark yours on the pattern and be like, oh, my apex is a little bit different. And then before you even cut out your pattern, we're gonna move on to the second tip, which is
point the dart to the right spot.
That's it. So like we already said, this is pointing up here, eyes down here. We actually want it pointing down here.
Yeah.
And so how do we make sure that the dart is pointing to the right spot?
Yeah, so you have different ways. You can just cut the dart and like bring it down, or you can rotate the point of the dart.
You can rotate it. So you can, the darts are like it's not like a mountain where it's immovable. You know what I mean? Like a dart can be moved. And there's all sorts of ways we can move them, we can shorten them, we can rotate them. And again, we have a full blog post on how to do all of that. So that could be like, we could do a whole other video about just how to do that, and maybe we should. But we're just giving you a quick little primer. So A, find the bust apex. 2, I'm like A, B, C, M dash, mixing up my things here. 2, point the dart at the right spot.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we're starting to get in the right spot.
Yeah, I'm gonna say here, it doesn't need to be perfect.
Yeah.
Like we grow, the like time passes, our body changes.
Things fall.
It doesn't matter like that it's a little bit different, but it's gonna look best if the dart is pointed in the right direction.
And I would say if it's like slightly off, probably I wouldn't even bother.
Yeah.
I think where it becomes really important is when things are super fitted.
Yeah.
So this isn't even that fitted. Like this is pretty loose through here. If I was doing like a really fitted like sheath dress and there might be like darts here and darts here, I think it becomes more important. But we're just, it's all about like trying to get better.
Yeah.
But we also don't want to drive ourselves crazy if it's not perfect.
Yeah.
Third tip is you can adjust the dart shape. So just because a dart looks a certain way on a pattern, it doesn't mean that it's not a mountain. It is not an immovable thing. It is a changeable thing, right? Because pattern maker is going to draft for a block, for a particular kind of convention of body, and most of us don't fall within that convention. And so our the dart can be shaped. So it can be
shortened or lengthened.
Okay. And in what context would you lengthen or shorten a dart?
So for example, if I like wearing minimizer bras that flatten my breasts, then I would make the dart shorter because I don't need the dart to point, like I would see the point of the dart if I would like be wearing a minimizer bra. And then on the other side, if you like to wear bullet point bras,
like Justine, our operations manager.
Yeah. Then in that case, you want the tip of the dart to get as close as it looks good on the garment.
But alternatively, you might, just based on how your body projects or rests, even without those two use cases, there might just be times that you want to lengthen or shorten it. And as a general rule, you want the dart point, so where the dart ends, to end not at the fullest part, but an inch away. I think that's a really important thing to think. Like when you're finding your bust apex, if it's an inch away from the dart point, that's where it should be. We don't want that dart going right here, because then it's going to release all this like weird volume and look pointy. We actually want it about an inch away. But like you're saying, maybe there's some examples where you want it farther, maybe even closer.
Yeah.
Okay, so we can shape the dart by lengthening or shortening it, but then we can also shape the dart by how we sew it.
Yeah.
And so we do that with?
The convex or concave darts.
And we were just arguing about how to know the difference. I always get them confused. But a concave dart goes like this,
Yes.
and it's like it caves in on itself. That was what I figured out. And then the convex curve goes like this.
Yes.
So you love a concave curve, and you were just saying use them for pants.
Yeah, bueno, I use them for pants in my seat when I have my shelf seat.
Shelf bum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in a concave dart that looks like this, then the volume is taken mostly at in the dart legs and quickly becomes like very narrow. So I don't need to take so much when I'm close to my seat apex, let's call it like that, but I need to take most of the volume at the base.
Yeah, because your seat's kind of like this,
Yes.
as opposed to my bum, which is drooping and kind of going like this. So I can kind of like maybe sew a more traditional dart because I don't need to release the volume as quickly.
Yeah.
Now, concave dart, those are helpful, right? Like if we think about, again, like a really fitted bodice where you might have darts here and then darts here, if you want it really fitted, you might want to sew that. And when we say like sewing it like this, it just basically means when you're sewing that line, instead of it being perfectly straight, maybe you sew it in a gentle curve.
Yeah.
And then you're taking out even less fabric and you're making it more fitted.
Yeah, so that's a convex dart.
Yes.
So in convex darts, you go like curves that are inward, and curves that are outward, you use concave darts.
Yes. Okay, tip 3 done. Let's talk about tip 4. What's tip 4?
Properly mark your darts.
Oh, she's so bossy. I actually told her to say it just like that, so I think I'm the bossy one, because I was like, Muncie, say, properly mark your darts. Okay, so when I'm marking a dart, if I'm feeling really lazy, I'll like kind of just notch where the dart legs are on each side, and I'll mark the point.
Yeah.
And that's all I'll do.
Yeah.
And then I sit down at my machine, I fold my dart, and then if I'm like, if it's a flimsy fabric or I'm feeling particularly ambitious, I might draw a straight line. Like I'll fold it and then kind of draw a line with a marking tool or something so I have something to follow. But sometimes I just freeball it. I'm being loose and free.
Yeah.
But probably we should be doing proper, like I'm like being bossy to you to be bossy to them, and then I'm not even following my own bossiness.
You know what I do?
Tell me.
I put the notch of the dart legs, and then I mark the point, and then I put a piece of tape on the side that I'm gonna sew the dart.
That's smart.
Because then it provides stability.
Oh, that's smart.
But you don't want it like right next to you don't want to sew on top of the tape. You want to have the tape next to the line where you sew.
Yeah, that's smart. So you have like a little straight line, because sometimes you're like, if it's a long dart, you're like, and then it gets rippled and it gets distorted.
Yeah.
Okay, but if we were doing like a more complex or couture project, what would be other ways that we could mark the dart?
Well, you baste it.
Yep.
You baste the legs with the thread, and then you baste it again before you sew it.
Yeah.
Right?
So it's like perfectly positioned.
Yeah.
And then any other ways we can mark it?
Well, you can mark it, like you said, with the marking tools.
Yeah.
With the circles with the points.
Yeah.
You can mark your fabric.
You can also, if the dart is fully expressed on the pattern, with tracing paper, like carbon paper and a tracing wheel. Yeah. So sometimes I'll do that if I see the full dart, I'll just put tracing paper and I mark the whole thing, and then you don't need to use a piece of tape or whatever because you're marking in the dart legs. Yeah. So regardless of what you do, just make sure it's like really clearly marked for you, whatever method you prefer, so that when you get there, you're not like lost the dart point and don't know what's going on. You don't want to lose the point. Yeah. Tip number 5.
Sew the dart properly.
I was going to be bossy.
Okay, good.
Sew the dart properly. Damn it. So, okay. That was maybe a little bit more intense. Everyone's like, it's a dart, Heather. You can. It's the heat. It's making me spicy. Okay, so how do we sew a dart properly?
Well, you start sewing at the base of the dart, where the legs are.
Yeah, we don't start at the tip.
Yeah.
It'd be really hard.
Yeah. So do you want me to continue?
Yeah. Please.
Okay, so you start with a normal stitch length from the base of the dart towards the tip. And then for me, when I get close to the tip, maybe like an inch or half an inch away from the tip, I shorten my stitch length.
Okay.
Because then that is an extra insurance for when you finish the dart. If you didn't tie it properly, then it's not gonna come undone.
Yeah.
As I was saying, not the thread, like leave long threads at the end of your dart, and try to like step slowly into the last threads of the fabric as you go off the dart at the point.
Yeah, so, well, what I'll do is if you have a dart sometimes going right to the edge of the fabric, you will end up having, even if it's the dart's gradual, you will end up having a point.
Yeah.
So what I'll sometimes do is just gently shape the dart and maybe like get a little bit closer to the edge of the fabric than technically I'm supposed to, just at the very edge.
Yeah.
And then you're right, you don't want to end like this. You want to kind of just grab just like teeny, like couple threads, like you said, so that when you sew off and then you tie your dart off, which you want to, we always just suggest you tie it off manually. You don't end up having this like weird angle, like it's a nice smooth curve.
Yeah. Yeah. So one thing you don't want to do is reverse at the tip.
Yeah.
As you're sewing.
You're not back stitching on your dart because you're going to end up getting like
weird pointing.
Weird shapes.
Yeah.
Nobody likes
like
that.
there is a technique in which you come out of the fabric and then you go back into the area of the dart that you took in and you reverse there, you backstitch there and finish. But like it's just easy. There's no issues with just tying it a knot there.
And we do have a whole post on how to sew perfect darts. And I think there might be like a tip there for finishing it that I'm not remembering. So there's a full post for that.
All of our tips are there.
Okay, so we gave you 5 tips, but I just thought of a 6th tip. So this is your bonus tip.
Okay.
Most darts can be fixed with an iron.
Yeah.
And actually, all darts should be shaped with an iron.
Yes.
So use your iron.
Yes.
Because again, we're thinking about this shape that we're creating in fabric. Even if we're gently doing this, we now want to press this fabric, ideally over like a tailor's ham, something curved like the shape, and use lots of steam. Because sometimes like I'll sew a dart, actually here's a good example. You guys can't see this, but I'll sew a dart and there's like a weird little point. And I could go back and sew it, but often just like a lot of heat and steam will kind of smooth it out so you don't end up having that little ripple at the end.
Yeah. Steam and curved hams or pressing tools do magic to shape fabric and make it look smooth.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so those are our 5 to 6 dart tips. If you would like more information about fitting darts, and we have like a whole post on like all the ways that you can fit darts and fit bodices and sew darts, you can download our free bodice fitting guide, which we'll link to down below. You'll be added to our mailing list, but like this is not a bad thing. Like our weekly email is amazing and you're gonna be very excited to get it. Or alternatively, we'll link all of our blog, our bodice fitting posts, and you can just go visit the blog. Any last minute additions?
No.
Nothing to share?
Yeah, like just go download it. It's super approachable but in depth, so you can just go get what you want and stay if you want, depending on how in depth you want to get into it.
Sounds good. Okay, thank you for your PhD level writing on the subject. Hopefully this little video made it a little bit condense some of all that PhD knowledge. And thanks for watching, everybody. If you enjoyed this video, we're making them every week. It really helps us out when you like and subscribe. And we'll see you later.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.